All right, this is the Hellion from the Hellion Rocks. We're continuing to bring you badass new music, and I got a special guest on the phone today, Norm from Murder FN. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing, dude? Glad to be speaking with you again, man. Last time I saw you, we rocked Albuquerque on its ass.
Yes, sir. And now, it looks like August 7th. You got something big dropping, right?
Yeah, a record comes out, Happily Never After, August 7th on Famous Records, Pavement, MRI, Sony Red, basically everything under the sun you can think of. And we kick off the tour August 8th at Dirt Fest in Michigan, playing the main stage with Down, Hell Yeah, Pop Evil, Periphery, Starset, Cottonmouth Kings. It's a crazy bill, man. So we figured that would be what better time than then to get it kicked off, you know what I'm saying?
Right. And with the broad spectrum of bands like that, you might catch some new ears from people that really haven't heard Murder FM or haven't taken the time to listen to them. So it might open the door for some new fans to jump on board.
Oh, most definitely, man. And that's what we're hoping for, dude. Our band, we cross a lot of different genres in a lot of different ways, not necessarily reinventing the wheel at all, but we have an appeal that's real across the board,
Exactly. That's one of the things about Murder FM that I really dug was it's hard to put your finger on. If somebody asks, what does Murder FM sound like? What's their music like? And for myself, I listen to a ton of music, and it's really hard for me to put my finger on what you guys sound like other than to say they sound like Murder FM.
Yeah, right. And I'm glad you say that, and I'm glad that we've been able to achieve that to a certain point at least, man. I didn't really set out to try and be different. I didn't really want to be different. I grew up on arena rock bands, man. I missed the curve because I was too young to enjoy it as a teenager in the 80s,
Right.
So I was like, all right, maybe this is my chance to kind of bring that back. But it just, there's a lot of different things that I feel are missing, sonically and aesthetically these days. I think everyone takes themselves a little too seriously. I think some of the fun element has been taken out when it doesn't need to be. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean by that big arena rock feel, like that fun, like that. I went to a show and I never left, unsatisfied. I always left happier than I was, and not even being like, oh, positive message, la 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 la. It was like I went to a concert, like I was moved. You know what I mean? I was captivated and I was moved, and it was like an escape within reality. And that's really what we try to do, We kind of took.
That's it. You hit it on you nail on the head right there. Going to a rock show back in the day, it was a show, it was an event. I keep telling a lot of people that you geared up for it, man. You went out and you hung out, and some people were drinking and smoking in the parking lot, but they were talking about this band, that band, the other band. And when you went in, it was an alternate universe. You stepped out of your regular world, and you were transported away to the world of rock and roll music. Now, when I caught you guys a couple years ago, you guys played a tiny bar here in New Mexico, and I turned to my wife and I said, these guys don't belong in this, they belong in the stadium, period.
Thanks, man. Thank you, man. Well, it's the sound. And when I try to tell people that, I'm like, I'm not saying, oh, Murder FM belongs in a stadium and arenas because we should be successful. I'm saying that it's just built for that sort of atmosphere. You know what I mean?
Right.
A very
exactly.
It's not like, we only should be playing for X amount of people. It's just like our big drum grooves, our big riffs, our big hooks, and we can't help it. That's the stuff that we grew up on, So you wear your influences on your sleeve, and that stuff is just kind of embedded in you, I grew up on frontmen, on David Lee Roth and Paul Stanley and, Vince Neil and Axl Rose. It was like those dudes were characters unto themselves, you know what I mean? And I came across them in my very impressionable years, third and fourth grade. So it was kind of like I studied those dudes. I read Circus magazine and Rip magazine and Metal Edge, front to back multiple times, But it was like when you're a sponge like that in those days, you can't help but just it becomes your own subconscious, I never really had to think, ooh, how do I be a front man? I just kind of went out there and it happened. You know, whether anyone thinks it's good or not, it just, for me, it was completely natural. You know, how do I play guitar and write songs? Like, it just kind of came to me, like, what I thought was cool, what wasn't cool, what worked, what didn't. There was an innate feeling, and it was just from growing up on that stuff, you know?
Nice. Yeah, you know, when it's not, I get that feeling from you. It's not contrived, you know, you're not out there playing the part. It's actually, you're exuding the spirit of the frontman before you. And that natural,
definitely.
That natural attitude translates very well and translates to the audience very well. You're not putting anybody on, you know, like there's a lot of cats out there trying to capture onto that. It's contrived, you know, they're putting on the stage outfits and the makeup and stuff like that, and it's not real, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that stuff, I mean,
people catch that.
Yeah, well, don't get me wrong, you know, like we do that, we do our thing and we play our dress up, but the thing is, I think the difference that people can pick up on is that, one, we're kind of like that already anyways in our personalities, aesthetically, off stage, we're all kind of like, when we get on stage, we're extensions of who we are, kind of like if you're a wrestling fan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know what I mean? That's Stone Cold anyways, and he's the real deal. But when he gets to express himself being in wrestling, it's like it's Stone Cold on 1,000. You know what I mean? So our band is very much that same way. Like, we're us. We just turn up the heat when we hit the stage, you know?
But see, I believe that. You know, you're believable on stage. It's not
Thanks, man.
like, these guys are trying to catch the wave. You know, it's, well, you know, like I said, it's been a couple of years since I saw you, but I've followed what you guys have done, you know, keeping you guys on the radar. And it's, you know, you guys do have, I would say, like a cult following almost. You know, the people are really digging you, like a lot of the other bands that don't really have a lot of mainstream success, but they have a huge cult following. And I see Murder FM in that kind of vein.
Yeah, most definitely, man. We were very, very lucky to have grown that sort of cult-like following up until this point, and it seems to be growing at light speeds. I mean, it's really what brought us to the dance. It started internationally with 2 top 10 videos on Scuzz TV in Europe, and those European fans, man, just they set it ablaze for us. And with the advent of social media and that kind of being the way people find music these days in the underground, it was great because it didn't matter if someone was in Glasgow, Scotland, or Germany, or Japan. It was like on the internet, you're all in the same place. So those people that were excited about the band overseas really kind of created that excitement and that mystique for the band here in the States, you know, and because we've toured a lot, bro. We've done every grommet tour you can possibly do. We've played every armpit across America. But we did them all for reasons, you know, and some nights we were opening for Korn, you know, the other nights we were playing for 10 people in a bar, and it was just like, that's what you did and that's what you do, and we really paid our dues, man. And that's another thing that has helped kind of propel the live show as well, is we went out there and we worked on our show, man, and we first and foremost are music fans and we enjoy music. And so when we're playing, more often than not, we don't even realize there's an audience, you know?
Yeah, I get that. You know, that, and that's, to me, that, you know, you guys are lost in the music. And that's showing me that the music for you guys is in your soul. It's an art form. And I had this discussion recently with someone, and we were talking about what makes a band or what makes a song stand out. And I think it was, you know, I made the comment that those kind of songs are made from the heart as a form of art rather than, I'm going to write a song that's going to make me a lot of money.
Exactly.
And that's what I get out of you guys.
Oh yeah, dude, our record coming out now, Happily Never After, is completely 100% from that direction. And the reason why is when I started recording the songs and writing the songs for the record initially, we didn't have a deal in place. I mean, we were still a strong independent band, touring independently, doing our thing. So the songs were written for no other reason but to write songs for the love of music. I started to create a record for no other reason than that I loved my band, I loved my bros, we love each other, and we wanted to put like a great record together, however long that it took. And that's kind of something that's different with Murder FM too. From the get-go, man, we knew it was going to be a marathon, not a sprint, and we wanted the band to grow into its skin. We wanted the band to take its time to get to where we needed to be, rather than prematurely really shooting out the gate, you know. So when we got our new drummer, Jason West, we stole him from Wednesday 13 in 2013, and that was really when the band kind of became the Murder FM that, you know, everyone to this point that has heard of us is aware of. Kind of when we became us, you know. And so the record, I started that process back then. So really by the time we had signed the deal, I mean, the record was done, dude. There was a matter of cleanup here and there, you know, polish a couple things with our, you know, producer, mix engineer, Bo Hill. Tommy Lee from Motley Crue did a remix of We the Evil. And we got Will from Evanescence playing drums on the title track, Happily Never After. So there was, you know, a couple little bells and whistles we had to put in the whole thing, but the songs and the soul and the core, they were done at that point. And I think that's what makes that record really special, because it was written in a time that it didn't have to be written. It just came out, you know?
Yeah. And I understand you co-produced it with Bo this time, right?
Yes. And man, I got to tell you, the fact that dude passed the torch to me in that regard is probably one of the hugest things that we've done with this record, that and working with Tommy Lee. I mean, Bo's sold 50 million records, worked with Eric Clapton, Alice Cooper, Bob Dylan, Rat, Warrant, you know what I mean? Just, dude, he came from all the records that I grew up on. I remember reading his name on the back of album covers when I would study album credits, and it's just trippy to see my name next to his, and in some spots even above it, and to know that he felt about my production work. He's like, you know, kid, this is your time now, man.
That's awesome. When I heard that, you know, I was you know, you were working with Bo Hill and you were co-producing a record. I was like, yeah, right on. That's definitely a kudo for you.
It is, man. Because beyond the music again, I'm a lover of music to the core, you know. So I'm not just a dude that plays guitar and sings in a band. Like, I love writing songs. I love working with other bands. I love producing bands. I love being behind the curtain just as much as I love being in front of it. So that was a huge one. It really was, man. I mean, to this day, it still blows my mind.
Nice. And you said Will Hunt worked on it too, and that guy's getting around because there's a local cat here in Albuquerque named Mike Ariza, a great guitar player. He worked with Frank Hannon from Tesla on the Frank Hannon project. They got a hold of Will, and Will did some drums for a couple of their tracks they're working on now. So that guy's getting around, man.
Will Hunt, man, is one of the baddest drummers on the planet, dude. He's played for Black Label Society, Dark New Day.
Yep.
You know, I mean, the list just goes on and on. He's in Italy right now playing with a dude, Vasco Rossi, who is like the Bon Jovi of or Bruce Springsteen of Italy. So he's one of the greatest live drummers, session players of our day, dude. He's just tearing it up.
That's awesome to hear. Now, again, you said, I know that Tommy Lee remixed one of your tracks. I got to hear the story. How'd that happen?
You know, it was a very interesting story. Kind of a fantasy. Like, it took me a little while to believe. Our A&R guy at the record label that said, hey, you know, I'm friends with Tommy Lee, and I just got this gut feeling that he might dig this band. I want to send him some of your tracks. So we're like, yeah, cool. You know, like, in my mind, I'm like, sure, dude, whatever. And I get a couple messages a couple days later. He goes, Tommy wants to do a remix of this song. You know, fast forward another 2 days. Hey, can you get some studio tracks together for him to kind of demo some stuff? Next thing I know, we're working on this remix together, and boom, it's done. You know, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like, my phone will light up and it says Tommy Lee, and it just trips me out because I'm like, whoa, Tommy Lee's my friend now. And he's really cool, man.
That's cool.
You know, I'm not saying that because he's Tommy Lee from Motley Crue that he should be this big rock star douchebag. You know, like, people's perceptions, though, you know? But for what he has done in the business and the person that he is and the things he's gone through, he's so super cool. like, it's unreal, man, and super sweet, too. Like, every time he talks to me, like, I hear the Beatles in the back of my head, because I'm just like, how are you so nice, man?
Nice, man.
Which is cool.
That's
I
cool.
mean, I wouldn't have ever, not that I thought he was a mean person, I just would have never thought that he would have put that time and attention and detail, not only into working with the band, but to like, to me personally, you know what I mean? Like, we randomly talk like at least once a week, and it trips me out just that he keeps up with me. It's really cool, Doesn't have to. I'm sure he's got 10,000 more things going on that are much more important. But he's a big supporter of the band.
Story.
It is, man. And
That's
he's
awesome,
a big supporter of the band, dude. He's really flying the flag for us right now, dude.
That's incredible. You have that kind of support. Which leads me to another thing I was going to ask you guys. It's funny. I've been to a lot of shows. I've been, standing on the side of the shows with other bands that I listen to. They're I consider rock stars, and I've seen them geek out. With seeing somebody on stage. Do you have any particular geek out story that was somebody you played with that you just kind of couldn't believe you were standing there with?
Man, probably opening up for Korn and this last run we did with the Deftones last summer. I mean, my high school band actually opened for Deftones back when they were on the Adrenaline tour, their first record. I must have been like 14 years old or something. I was playing with older dudes, so and I geeked out then, and I still geek out just the same way because Chino's like one of the greatest vocalists of our day. But I think everything else, man, has been kind of like a lot of peer stuff, because I was in a band before called Never Enough with Keith and Trevor of 18 Visions. So, we had the runs with like Dude and Five Finger Death Punch and all that genre of bands that is kind of like everyone that we're real big fans of right now, we're kind of friends with as well,
Yeah, I hear.
So I think I have proud, like Gemini Syndrome, I have like proud moments for them more than like a geek out moments. It's like, dude, those are our friends and they're tearing it up,
Yeah, that's in fact that's who I saw you guys with was Gemini Syndrome.
Yeah.
Here in Albuquerque. And to see those guys again, they've blown up real big. The story that I was going to relate was when I was standing with Rat, the guys in Rat, and we were at the side stage and we were watching Queensryche play, and to see the guys in Rat just like geek out, it's kind of cool when you see the human side of bands, and they show you that they really are real people, and that's a cool thing, which was where I was going with all of this was you guys make sure you take the time to talk to your fans and get feedback from them on what they're looking for.
You know what? When the opportunity presents itself, most definitely, man. We don't really do a lot of that online just because you don't know who's who and what's what, and we kind of like to keep quiet, and that's our mysterious thing. That's what we do, dude. If you want to get with the band, come find us at the shows. It's just a little more real. It's face to face, and it feels right, and as long as we're able to, we love to, especially our bassist J6. And that dude should run for office in like 10 years because he's just like everybody's friend. It's like everyone knows Jay, Jay knows everyone. He just loves to hang out,
He's the PR guy, the band PR for the band.
Most definitely.
You were talking about like Circus and Rip, Hit Parader. Back in the day, rock stars, bands that you loved and you were really into were really almost inaccessible. They were like superheroes. And again, like you said, when you went to a live show, that's where you experienced them. It wasn't a minute-to-minute update, because the magazines once a month and you grab them and read about them. Is that kind of the vibe you guys are wanting to call? Keep that
I don't know that we're
mystery
like
there,
Yeah, I don't know that we're like trying to pull the vibe. It's kind of happened for us because of the way that we weave in and out of things. But definitely, that we want people to get lost in the music more than the individuals. So when you come in contact with the individuals, it's like even cooler. You know what I mean? Because I think there's some sort of soulful connection. Like when you do it that way, because we're by no means like a heartthrob teen kind of group where the members are the selling factor of the band. It's the music, man. And when you make that connection, you kind of feel like you know somebody, and then when you finally get to meet them, you're like, oh, dude, I have all these questions for you. What's this song about? What's this about? What was it like this and this and this, and that's the kind of stuff that like we really, really dig,
Yeah,
like
right
we
on.
love the good conversations,
I dig that. That's cool. You guys are taking that out on the road with you like that. Now,
I think that's probably the only reason it's. Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. It's just been that way.
No, man, you go ahead.
We're overnight drivers, so usually we go in, we lay down the business, and we're on to the next city. So that's why it kind of feels like we're mysterious to an extent.
Yeah, well,
it's not that we don't want to hang. It's just
hard.
Like, dude, we are business.
Right, and that's the cool thing, that getting out there and hitting the road and making that effort. There's a lot of bands, a lot of local bands I see that aren't willing to jump and take that route. They don't want to throw their asses in an Econoline van with a little trailer pulling their gear and make that sacrifice to hit the road. But that's what it takes in order to get out there and get heard and from your dues and stuff like you were saying.
Oh, dude, most definitely. I mean, we've been in countless vans, minivans, cars, broken trailers, busted trailers. I mean, we've seen someone die right in front of us on the road at 2 a.m. on I-10 going to LA. It's like, dude, we've done everything we've had to do, and we've always stayed on that line. I mean, we've moved to different cities. Like, we've had, people get married, like kids, like, and it's still like never took us off our path, man. Because one, it's the love. Two, it's the extreme focus and just dedication that it's just like there is nothing that is going to derail us unless we choose to be derailed. So the band hits like a fist when we hit the stage.
And that's true. That's a true statement right there.
You just feel
it. We got the new album dropping. Guys, obviously you're going to tour to support that. You going to take it outside of the U.S. this time?
Oh, yeah, most definitely, man. We'll start with a domestic run here in the U.S., and then we'll probably go overseas later in the year, the first part of the year. I won't definitely be over there for the 2016, festival season, if we haven't already been there twice at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. It's definitely a big world and fun to get out and hit those European shows, because it seems like, here in America, shows kind of scaled back some, but they're still killing it overseas.
Yeah, we've been overseas a couple times, man, and there seems to be a different appreciation for the artistry of a band on tour, especially when they come from the States. And I don't know if it's the fact that, like, you know what, I gotta see this band because I might not see them again for another 2, 3, 4 years. Because bands don't tour overseas. That's the way they do in the U.S. if you're from the U.S. And I think the fact that there's still record stores, the HMV record stores overseas, people just have that, they love that tactile feeling of grabbing something tangible. And because of that, there's still very much that mentality of, supporting the band, the grassroots level, and really, trying to catapult the band and being there from the beginning. Whereas in the States, it's kind of like, give us the big bands, and then we'll get behind that. And that's cool, too, because there needs to be some sort of a filtering out process. You know what I mean? With the internet and with just everyone can get their music out there. It's like, how does somebody really find anything anymore that they might actually really enjoy? It's like when I got Circus Magazine had 12 bands in it. And I had those 12 bands to choose from. I had to choose to like them or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
exactly. But those bands at that point were great products, and they were very well done. Like, at that age, I didn't realize it, but now I realize that. I mean, I had to choose from, Rat, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, Metallica. And I think that's why, the rock scene back then was so big anyways, because all that stuff was so well put together as it was. You know what I mean? There was no room for half-assery because it was a big machine and a big business as well, you know. And now like anybody can get it out. That I think that's cool, but at the same time, it's like it can maybe even discourage a consumer because they're trying to find something that they might be really into, but it's a bad recording, or I don't know, or the graphics are weird, or I can't really find these guys everywhere where on any medium that I listen to them on, and you just kind of become discouraged with it, you know.
But that's a good thing. Good what you were talking about there. That's been in my mind a lot lately. You know, talking about the sheer number of bands that are out there trying to be heard. You know, and the quality that they put into it. And, you know, we with the advent of home recording, I think it's a blessing and a curse. You know, anybody and their grandma can get together with the right gear and the right software, and they can put out a record. But does that mean it's any good? You know, the band themselves might be good, but the recording is often terrible. I still think that I'm of the schooling that a band needs to get into a studio and do the work and let people that are trained to be, you know, production people do the jobs. You know, certain records
man. I mean,
they sound the way they do because of the producer, because of the mixing and mastering. And I think that that's lacking in a lot of today's music.
Absolutely. You know, I feel the exact same way. I own an artist development studio in Dallas called the Sound Foundation. And I work with a lot of young artists, and I try to teach them, you know, all these aspects and areas of the industry. And production's like a big one. I'm like, hey man, you got a $300 gift card for Christmas to Guitar Center, and you got a laptop, and you went and bought some recording software. That doesn't make you a producer. Like, that makes you someone that can record their songs. You know, there's a very fine line. It's like you go and buy a guitar. You're a guitar player, but you're not a guitarist. And it's a very fine line to explain to people. You know what I mean? But when you're making your own records and doing those own things at that level, and you don't really have like a fundamental understanding because you're inside the glass, you're not outside of the glass. It's kind of like, how can you be the director of a movie when you're also the actor? You know, you have to be able to have perspective and to step outside. And your ears work the same way as like a director in their eyes. It's like whatever you're writing on guitar, you think is the greatest because you wrote it. You know what I mean? You need that producer on the other side to kind of be like, hey man, let me tell you this. You know, and that was one of the things that I had known that. Luckily, again, that was one of those things that just was, I grew up with. I didn't know why I felt certain ways about things when I was writing at 15 and 16. I just felt something, just this innate feeling that said it wasn't right. But Bo kind of really tapped into it with me when we worked on a project together a couple of years ago. He was like, you got this real good ability to get outside your skin that a lot of artists don't have. And when he told me that, I was like, that's that feeling that I'm always feeling in my gut. And that's the thing that's still missing in some of those recordings that like bands are doing on their own. You know, like you need someone on the outside to pull the best out of you that maybe you don't even see in yourself. It's not that you can't do a great job. It's just you're so worried about booking your gigs, going to work, whatever you got going on at home, trying to write your songs, getting to band practice, trying to record it. You know, your mind is just inundated with everything, right? Producer's job is to just sit there and listen to the jams and make them killer. So they're listening as a consumer, and they're like, you know what? This part is going to hook me. This part is going to make me want to be a fan of your band. We're not thinking that when we're in the band, right? We're just throwing the songs together in the garage, trying to get out and play some gigs and hoping that someone will give us a break, you know? And so I preach that daily, man. I'm like, dude, I'm not saying you can't, but you got to learn how to get out of yourself or get somebody to do it, you know? And there's a reason why there's a whole industry of production, because these people make it great, you know? And same with movies and videos and everything, you know? You can't be the cameraman and the actor.
Thank you. You know that I've been telling a lot of people that, you know, a lot of younger bands when they're looking for advice and stuff, and I keep telling them that, and you know, to hear it straight from your mouth as well. I just interviewed Sterling Winfield a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this just thing because, you know, on the Hellion Rocks here, I'm taking a little journey on finding people that are in the studio, and I'm doing, you know, a series of interviews with the studio professionals so that they can give their advice and word out to young bands. Now, moving ahead, you got this record going to be coming out. Obviously, you got a good bunch of new merch. Hopefully some new fans behind it. Are we you're just gonna keep rolling down the road in the steamroller with Murder FM? You're gonna keep doing some you're gonna get side projects in, or what's the plans hold for you?
Oh man, I'm always. I don't know if there's a side project because Murder FM is me. It's like Trent Reznor and 9 Inch Nails. Like anything Trent Reznor does is always gonna sound like Nails because Trent has his own thing. And Murder FM's my baby, man. I mean, anything I probably would ever try to do on my own would still have some sort of like, that's Norman. That's his gig. So the way I kind of get that creative side out of me is by working with other bands and producing other bands. And I'm producing a lot of bands at the moment. Vanna Red, the two girls in the project, they're out of control. You got to check them out. Heartbreak Heroes, Above It All, The Nameless, The Looking Glass, a lot of new bands that I'm trying to get out. And that's really, that's where I'm able to express the different musical sides of myself because each one of those bands are something completely different from the other. So it's like I'm able to get into my singer-songwriter side. I'm able to get into my pop rock side. I'm able to get into my, metalcore side. I'm able to get into like, the pop punk thing. It's kind of like I can get in with everything, different kinds of vocalists, female vocalists, male vocalists, different ages, different ranges, songwriting styles. And so that helps me to stay focused on Murder FM as well because I'm not trying to cram all my creative ideas that I want to get out into my band. It's like Murder FM is its own thing. And I think that's another problem with, bands coming up is they're writing and they're developing. You have so many influences. Everyone gets their say that sometimes you can hear that in a song. You know what I mean? Like, wow, everyone got their way in that song. But that doesn't always serve the song right. True. You know what I mean? There has to be a vision. It's like, dude, if you guys, whoever said sports was fair, you know what I mean? Only one guy is going to run the ball into the touchdown. So music is kind of the same way, it's about the end game. And artists, the sooner they can realize that, the better off they'll be. It's not about the part, it's about the song, man. And so,
cool.
Yeah, so that's why I don't think I'll have an actual side project because I have so many things going on already.
And I agree with you on that. If I think if a lot more artists, took the time to bleed that extra creative stuff out, it would help their core band stay solid. But a lot of guys don't do that.
Yeah, man. I mean, who's to say that like you can't be in a handful of things? Or again, with home recording coming out, record your solo flute record on your own time. Get all those things out,
right.
And don't bring that into your metal band. You know what I mean? Or like, so you've got a prog rock band that's great, and you're into prog rock stuff. Record that stuff on your own because your other band has a really good chance at like making it by being, a big arena rock band or active rock radio or whatever it may be and adding all these extra elements into your music. You could be your own enemy. It's not that people aren't into your music. It's not that no one's giving you a chance. It's maybe you're cramming too many things in it for the listener to get into. And that's where a producer comes in handy again because they're able to objectively sit on the outside and be like, dude, this is going to bring you to the dance. If that's what your band wants to be. You know what I mean? It's the other way around. If you're a pop rock band and you want to be a prog metal band, well, then you probably need to like get that out somewhere else and make your prog rock songs, prog rock stuff. It goes both ways. Each thing to me has its own set of rules and you can't really veer from certain formulas. It's like we're never going to drive on a square, dude. It's always going to be a circle from here on out. So don't fight it. Don't fight it, man.
Tommy Lee was good at that. He's obviously had, Motley, and then he did his Methods of Mayhem, completely different.
Yep.
And then he did those couple of Tommyland and that other record that was completely different. So yeah, Tommy was out there getting his creative side out, away from Motley. And I think it was a good thing for him.
And each one, identity-wise, was different, man. And in each one of those, Tommy Lee worked with a different producer. Tommy worked with someone on Methods of Mayhem. Tommy worked with one of my favorites, Butch Walker, on that Tommyland record. And it was like, dude, they all had their own identities. Yeah, and that's what you need to do, man. You really, I would love for any band to ever hit me up. They can go to normanmatthew.com, see some of my production work and stuff I've done. I love helping young bands, and not necessarily in age, just in where you're at in your musical career. You know, like you're just kind of getting out there, you're just putting your band together. Like, I really love helping bands get on the right track and then watching them grow. Like, you have no idea how much that excites me. Like, dealing with an established band is cool, but like knowing that you had a part in a band taking that next step, that's even cooler.
That's awesome.
You know, it's just like,
well,
that'd be really cool to produce Metallica, but they're already going to be Metallica. It would be really cool to make the next Metallica, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're coming up against the end of it here, and there's a couple more things I want to hit on.
Love it.
I wanted to know if you're still the second best good-looking guy in the band, or did you move down?
No. I think I moved up because I've been getting in my tour body, working out constantly. So I think I'm number one now. I think the guys have all moved down.
I saw the reason I asked that. I'd seen an interview you did back in January where you said something about being the second, and then you said, no, maybe I'm the fourth. I just wondered where your status was on
right.
Up or down, but
right. You know, you gotta make light of things, and you gotta be able to laugh at yourself. You know, and
sure.
It's like everything is always so like, you know, I'm the greatest singer, I'm the whatever, our band is the greatest. So that's why I was like, yeah, it'd be kind of funny to be like, man, I'm the second cutest. You know, it'd be funny if we, you know, did a bunch of interviews and we're like, Murder FM, fourth best band on the planet. You know what I mean? You do.
So,
again, it's that fun element, man.
Nice. So, you know, we're talking to Norm from Murder FM. They've got an album called Happily Never After coming out August 7th on Famous Records Global, and it's distributed worldwide by Pavement Entertainment. I haven't had a chance, to be honest with you. I think Shauna just sent me the record. I have heard the track, seen the video. I'm really digging it. I'm digging all the older stuff. I'm assuming that this new record is going to just kick our asses as well. Norm, you have the floor. You're going out to 170 countries right now. Tell the world what you want to tell them, how you want to tell them.
Thank you. That encapsulates it right there, man. The band taking off, the band signing the deal. This is really kind of like, this record is a trophy to all our fans that put us there, because we didn't get to this level without them. And at the risk of sounding cliche, that is absolutely 100% true in our case, though, because we have always had zero marketing dollars, like no publicists, like no team behind us. I mean, this band was driven literally as 100% DIY as we could get, with a handful of favors here and there, and a whole lot of fans that really, really genuinely cared about the band, and that's what propelled us. So every time we're taking on a victory, every time we're hitting a new city, you're seeing an article on the band, you're seeing us chart, whatever it may be, that's a victory for you guys, because you're the ones that are making it happen. Like, we're just working our asses off playing the music and killing it on stage, but it's our fans that are really most definitely the ones that deserve the victory. So thank you very much.
Nice. And I can attest to that 110%. You know, I saw these guys a couple of years ago in a small club here in New Mexico, and I pay attention to what people say when these guys were jamming. I heard people turn to each other and say, holy shit, these guys kick ass. And that kind of reaction is what a band wants.
Yep. You know, we do, man, and we don't unfortunately strive for it. It just happens with us because, again, man, we keep it real. You know, we keep it as close to the heart as we can, and we just go out there and we do the only thing we know how to do, and that's just lay it out on there, you know, lay it out on the line. Like Triumph. Lay it on the
line. Before I roll off, I just got a message. I just got a message. Somebody wanted to know where did the Gnar come from?
That came from when I was we were working on some record. I want to say I can't remember, maybe like 2002, 2003. And the engineer turned around and he was like, "That's Gnar, man." And Trevor, the drummer at the time, had just kind of like stuck onto it, and he was like, "Gnar, man, Gnar, man, the Gnar." And it was just kind of like, picked up a nickname out of nowhere and kind of started as a joke, and kind of people started to refer to me as such, "Gnarman, what are you doing? Hey, what's Gnar? The Gnar." And then I was just kind of like, you know what? I should be called the Gnar, because if the edge can be the edge in you two, I should be the Gnar.
Nice.
Again,
that comes from Mark.
Just right on, Mark. Thank you, man. Address me as
out of
such.
Texas. So cool, man. All right, we've been talking to Norman from Murder FM. Great band, great guys. Been on my radar for quite a while. As you see, we just had a regular old conversation about rock and roll, roots, the new record, everything cool. This is the Hellion, and we're out.